I'm on a mission to put innovative European entrepreneurs in the spotlight and share their story to the world. These are the stories of entrepreneurs of Europe. Hello everybody and welcome to Entrepreneurs of Europe. Today we'll have a special interview with a woman entrepreneur and a scientist who has moved from US to Europe to help European entrepreneurs. I'm pleased to introduce Ria. She will answer my 6 questions about herself, the company, its future, and its purpose, but also she will tell about her current role for European entrepreneurs. So, welcome, Ria.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity.
So I have these couple of 6 questions that I have asked from other European entrepreneurs before, and this is a nice opportunity to ask it from you as well, as you are an entrepreneur from US, but helping the European companies. So tell about who are you and what does your company do?
My name is Ria Persad, and I wear a couple of different hats. I am from the United States. I am the co-founder and CEO of StatWeather. StatWeather was ranked last year as the #1 climate technology in the world by Environmental Business International, and was also ranked in 2015 as the #1 data provider in the world by Energy Risk. And so it gives you an idea of what we do, which is climate data, but specifically in the predictive analytics and forecasting space. And what's special about our technology is that we apply artificial intelligence to predicting the weather. And not just predicting the weather, but predicting when there are major climate events and disasters to take place. So StatWeather is not just an enterprise, but it's a special type of enterprise that's called a social enterprise. So it's a profitable company, but it's also set up to provide humanitarian benefit as well. So that is one hat that I wear. Another hat that I wear here in Europe is as the president of the European Chamber of Digital Commerce.
Right.
And so this is a little bit different than a usual chamber of commerce. It incorporates the idea of a chamber of commerce, but specialized to companies who are involved in digital technologies and the digital space. So these are my 2 primary roles that I am engaged in. So one is heading up a technology company, and the other one is helping other technology companies through the European Chamber of Digital Commerce.
Wow, this is a very nice opportunity. Hey, so let's go more to your company. Tell about what does it exist? What's its purpose?
StatWeather exists because the accuracy in weather forecasting is okay, maybe about 1 week away, but for operational purposes, also for people who are involved in the energy markets, they're wanting to know further than just the short-term weather forecast that we're getting when you turn on the television or when you go on the internet. So the question is it actually possible to go further out? So I used to work on the trading floors of certain energy companies like Duke Energy. I also worked for Enron, also worked for Goldman Sachs in the financial trading sector. And they would see how weather patterns would affect the prices of various futures, for example, with natural gas or electricity. And the tie-in is that when the weather is very, very hot, then people turn on their air conditioning, and that determines consumption, which then determines supply and demand in the market. Same thing with natural gas when it's cold. So the weather directly influences the price of those commodities. It also influences the pricing of other commodities. For example, whether it's coffee or wheat, other kinds of global commodities that are on the markets. And so the question that they were asking is, can we do better than what we're getting from the government? Can the private sector somehow give us a solution, even if it's not perfect? Can you give us a risk solution? So that was when I started seeing what the commercial need was. So over time, I ended up going into consulting, developing my own programs, hiring my own team, which then turned into StatWeather. So this has been a long-term process. And then going to investment banks, utilities companies, energy companies, commodity funds, people like this who are not just relying on a weather forecast, but on risk. And so we could tell them, this is a period of time where it's actually more probable to have an extreme weather event. The public will more get a forecast like the high and low temperature. But when you're dealing with more sophisticated business uses, they understand you're not, that high and low temperature is not an absolute thing. So they're wanting to know, what is your confidence interval, what is the likelihood, and it's what's called a probabilistic forecast or a statistical forecast. So that is a product that we offer, a statistical forecast. When you frame it in that context of a statistical or probabilistic forecast, you can determine probabilities of all kinds of events, even months ahead of time. And using, more sophisticated mathematics, we can get to a point of accuracy that these funds and these desks and these energy companies can make a lot of money by having just a little edge. I mean, even if you're 1 degree more accurate than, what's on the television, that is a lot of money. That's millions of dollars for some of these companies. They're dealing with very degrees of advantage to be able to capitalize on it. So I saw the opportunity from working in the corporate world and seeing the need in the corporate world. And then when I struck out on my own in business, I developed a product that would meet the need in the corporate sector.
Then we come to the more personal questions of my 6-question session. What is your most important daily routine, or how do you start your day?
My personal life is actually quite quiet. My business life is more active, full of meetings and interviews, engagements, really engaging with people. But in my personal life, it's just really low key. And so I'm home and I follow a meditative practice, and I'm trying to do more of a yoga practice. And I pray and just reflect. So it's an interesting thing, because when I've taken these kind of personality tests, they have me kind of somewhere in between the introvert and the extrovert. I think what that means is that when I'm out in the public, I'm an extrovert, but when I'm at home, I'm a real introvert. So I gather myself with all of that. So my morning routine is very quiet, some reading, and I like to keep it that way because it keeps me centered, and I reflect on what is my direction for the day, what is my direction for what I'm doing. And then if I need to do something different, a lot of times those thoughts can come, in the morning. Oh, I need to do this, or oh, this would be a good idea.
Is there a specific time you wake up, for example?
It's not so specific. Lately, because of the European Chamber of Digital Commerce, I've been keeping a certain schedule because I've had meetings around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So, I'll wake up like at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Just, pretty normal kind of day. But if I were left to my own devices, I'd probably be more of a night owl. But that's not the most healthful thing. So I think this is actually better, but it's a more disciplined regime than staying up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. When I have the chance to do that, I might do that.
All right. So then back to entrepreneurship. So tell us a moment along your entrepreneur road that still makes you happy, like makes you very nice and positive and feel good.
Well, when I first started my company, StatWeather, it was actually 10 years ago. And we had this idea that we wanted to do this for-profit company, but we also wanted to have a non-profit side that would just help people and just be humanitarian. But we needed to make money on the StatWeather side before we could just donate like this, donate our time and our services. Well, that day actually came 2 years ago when StatWeather had become stable enough that we were able to open up a nonprofit side, a humanitarian side. It's called the StatWeather Institute, where we would donate things like hurricane forecasts and drought forecasts, things that really affect third world or developing nations. And for the last 2 years, I actually took my life and went over to Southeast Asia and devoted it just to the humanitarian side of the StatWeather Institute, because our operational team in the US had things so under control with our customers that I was able to go and open up this branch, and I was able to travel all over Asia and do this great work to help people with their climate and disaster resilience and their risks. It was very timely, and it was a dream come true. And so, one of we call it a bucket list in the US. And that means, the thing that you want to do before you die or what you want to see. I wanted to go and see Asia, but I didn't know under what circumstances that would happen. If that would be a vacation someday or what. And it ended up that I saw all over Asia in these last 2 years because of being a climate scientist and seeing all of the different climate disasters, working with the local governments, working with the national governments throughout Southeast Asia, also going into places like China and Singapore, Hong Kong, all these places. This was, it was a bucket list just to see this, but I ended up meeting this bucket list by doing something good, by just giving my life, my time, my, resources with StatWeather to this work. And so I tell people that the takeaway is that if there's something that you really want to do, just keep working towards it, because one day you might wake up and find, oh my goodness, I've done it. I'm there. I've met that goal. I'm working on it steadily. So it took, from the start of StatWeather, 8 years before we could transition a part of the company into a nonprofit venture and truly fulfill our mission as a social enterprise. But it happened. And I'm just really glad to say that it was a dream come true for our company and for myself.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that it's doing good for business. That's always a nice thing. Hey, then going to the fifth question, what is the most important thing for your company right now?
For StatWeather, the most important thing is to provide a reliable service that keeps them ahead of the game, that keeps them ahead of the market. So that requires two things. That requires that we continue to see what's out there and make sure that they're getting the best possible product, because that, especially in a tech-related industry, people want an edge. And so we want to make sure that we're still providing that, and that customer service is always key. That's always number one. And I think that's what keeps the customers coming back, because you not only provide a great solution, but you're also providing great service. They enjoy working with you. They want to support what you're doing as well. And so it used to be in the early days of our venture that it was just trying to get revenue to stay afloat. But now it's, once you have that customer base, then you really want to keep those customers. Not that you're not getting new business, but new business is nothing if you can't keep the customers. So we're at that stage where we have a wonderful, solid and strong customer base, and we really want to keep them and keep them loyal, because so many of our customers have been loyal over the years.
Yeah.
But things can change on a dime where, with technology, they might not want us anymore, but that's up to us if we're going to continue to provide cutting edge resources and services to them.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So it actually leads to the sixth question. Where are you heading, and how will your company look 5 years from now?
It's such an interesting thing talking about StatWeather, because when you're in a venture, there are different ways it can go. We could go after big investment and scale it really big, or get absorbed into another entity and do a kind of merger or acquisition, or we could keep it on as a lifestyle company and build organically from within. And we've explored all of those routes. And initially, when I was in business, we wanted to be the social enterprise and then, do the nonprofit and have those two going and keep building out StatWeather organically. And then as I proceeded, then we were getting some offers of people to buy out the company, and considered all, kind of went through all these things, and the investor, okay, we're going to do that, but nothing really felt right. The deals that I had coming through, we could have done it. Actually, it would have been okay. It would have been fine. But for whatever reason, we just, sometimes you look back, you're like, what if I did go that route? I wonder where we'd be right now. But we're back to kind of the original plan, of the original vision of the company, which is to build StatWeather organically. Now we have the nonprofit side, and now that I'm in Europe, we're building StatWeather in Europe. Yeah, retaining the company, and what we're doing is going global. And so we're a great success in North America. And in North America, we have a great advantage in having a really good data ecosystem. The government collects really great weather and climate data, so we have that to work with when we make our computer programs and predictions. But in other countries, there's not a lot of data, so it has inhibited us from like certain parts of Africa or India, or, some places the data is just not as well organized, consolidated, or even collected. But over time, I want to see us be able to reach out into some of these areas, maybe through the use of other data sets that we have coming online. Now there's more satellite data that we have coming through, not just weather station data. So I want to see how we can continue to expand our markets. StatWeather Institute in Asia is nonprofit, and that's humanitarian. Here in Europe, we want to model what we have in North America. So that'll be another venture. But then there are all kinds of other markets. For example, Africa, South America, these areas. I want to see how far we can grow with it globally.
I'm sure you will. Yes. Hey, and now we can go back to in the beginning where we were talking about your current role, actually. So tell us about what's the Chamber of Digital Commerce, what's your role in it, and what you do, and how you help the Europeans over here.
Sure. I just want to qualify that there are different chambers of commerce that sound like European Chamber of Digital Commerce. There's a Chamber of Digital Commerce in the US. They're more focused on lobbying and legislation. Then you have other, like the European Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, of course.
More of a consolidation of businesses and their connections. All of our chambers of commerce sound a little similar, but we're actually radically different from one another. The European Chamber of Digital Commerce specifically addresses the pain points or the problems that technology companies face. And so we say, well, what are those problems? And the problem is that we are developing tech almost at a more rapid rate, sometimes than the market can keep pace with. And so it's like what we had in academia, where scientists are coming out with this incredible stuff, these inventions, discoveries, innovations, but sometimes it takes 10 years before it kind of goes through this commercial pipeline and gets into the public. And so the problems that tech companies face is, wow, we have this great blockchain technology, or we have this great AI technology that we've developed in R&D. Not just, now the discoveries and the innovation, it's not just in the universities, but really it's going on in the private sector, which is very exciting. But now the private sector has to think, well, we're not getting funded by a university, we're not getting funded by a government, we're getting funded by the private sector, which would mean investors or customers.
Yeah.
Venture capital funding is actually very difficult to get. It's only between 1% to 0.5% of companies who get those. You always hear, oh, so-and-so got $100 million investment, or, you hear these big stories. But those kind of stories are really, really, really rare. And that is not the norm. The norm is that you don't get any investment and you're pooling friends and family, maybe get a loan, credit line, your own savings, and putting that up and having friends who can help you with your business, maybe to program or write this or do this app. And you're doing research and development in this very lean environment. And so a lot of tech companies are in that boat of having incredible innovation, but needing help to bring it to market, to commercialization, for people to use it, and to monetize on it. And this is where the European Chamber of Digital Commerce steps in to provide solutions or refer them to avenues where they can go so that they can get over their pain points or their hurdles in commercialization.
Very nice. So we're in the end of the questions. Is there anything else you want to tell to the European entrepreneurs?
Yes, I'd like to say to European entrepreneurs that the problems that are faced in startups are actually the same problems that are faced in large enterprises. We're all in the same boat, and there have been studies on this. It's just maybe we feel the pain in a startup sooner, and we have to act sooner. Otherwise, a larger company can absorb more. But the problem is, how do we innovate in a way that it meets the market need, and to get the market to actually buy what we have. And so it doesn't matter if you're a medium-sized company, a small company, or a large company. We're actually all in the same boat with the problems that we need to overcome together.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the video. To get tuned to all future material and videos, subscribe to Entrepreneurs of Europe YouTube channel. Thank you. See you again.